is my podcast on the Italian Job from 2003. The movie begins in Venice, Italy, where a group of thieves are breaking into a safe where there's a bunch of gold bricks that they plan to steal. The plane actually goes off without a hitch, and they get away with it. But as they're pulling out of the country with all the stolen gold, one of their own men, Steve, actually betrays everybody and kills John, who's actually the father of Stella. And Charlie pretty much vows for revenge on him. A year later, after the job, Charlie confronts Stella in her job after working for the police because she's actually a professional safecracker, which is kind of like a connection with her father. But he confronts her with the chance to get revenge on Steve by stealing the remaining gold bricks that he has back from him. And she actually outright refuses because Charlie was the one who was leading the mission to steal the gold in Italy in the first place. And he really is the reason that John is dead. After a few nights of her thinking about her father and remembering him, she actually calls Charlie and wants in on the job. Charlie really is the mentor in the story. She's she's timid about doing stuff, like when she goes to meet Steve undercover, but Charlie talks her through it, and other things like driving and whatnot. That's all. She's also helped out by Handsome Rob and like other technological stuff. Like she's also helped out by Lyle in the movie. She's helped out by the rest of the team, which consists of her, Charlie, Left Ear, Lyle, and Handsome Rob. Handsome Rob is an interesting character. He follows the Dionysus character archetype. With the exception of he doesn't have trouble holding male friendships. He really doesn't. He has more trouble holding female friendship. He's very arrogant and like almost snobby because he's pretty skilled and like he knows it and people tell him it, but you know he's very proud of the skill. Lyle is he's the techno person in the thieving group. He works with all the computer work, he hacks into streetlights in the movie. He helps like counter police by messing with the scanners, and he shuts down the traffic control in LA. But he follows the Hermes archetype because he's very goofy. He's real outgoing, but he's also very impulsive and childish. Such as like stuff like he claims that Napster was stolen from him by the creator, and he still holds the grudge against the creator, even though it's old news, even though Napster doesn't even exist anymore. He also likes to play practical jokes, like when he shuts down the traffic control center, he puts up a sign that says you'll never shut down the real Napster, which is he's very gung-ho about being the real Napster and how he was the real mastermind behind it. But he usually goes out and does stuff alone, like he goes and hacks everything at an airport terminal, but it's all alone. He goes and does the reconnaissance work, he sets up a wiretap on Steve's house, he finds Steve all by himself. Left Ear is an interesting character because he's a combination of Hades and Ares. He's very, very like alone and reclusive, mainly because he is the explosive expert and he don't want to risk anybody getting hurt. Like when Charlie goes to help set up explosives with him, he takes his time, and Charlie's like, "What's happening?" He's like, "If I don't do this right, we're all dead," kind of thing. And he likes the long projects. He entertains himself with the project, like finding new ways. He also has he talks in the movie about what he's going to do with his share of the money, and he talks about buying a secluded house in Spain, and it just being him. He never talks about getting any like wife or any other connections in his life. Steve is pretty much a gung-ho Apollo archetype because he's real obsessed with work, and he has a strong will to get things done. He waits around in the beginning for the entire family to leave the house when he could just break. He can be loyal and trustworthy to others, but it's not exactly true. It's false. He can seem like he's loyal. He also is very logical. He talks about how stealing the gold from the group is the right move for him. He also scatters the way he sells the bars. He sells them in small quantities. That way, like he doesn't raise suspicion from anything and sells them behind closed doors. He's really obsessed with his career, or at the time he was really obsessed with his career, and he he's very, very, very arrogant. They meet up with the thievery group when Stella is found to be the undercover person. He meets up with a group in the actual restaurant, and he, just arrogant as can be, just talks about, oh, you're not gonna get away with this. You're not gonna steal my money. I'm gonna keep my eyes on it at all times. And he basically he not doesn't have any ideas of his own. He really likes to take other people's ideas. Like when everybody's talking about what they're gonna get, after he steals all the gold from everybody, he gets one of everything they have. That he actually talks about that in the movie. Okay. Alright, so after Stella accepts the job, she's helped out by Charlie and the rest of the gang on, breaking in when they have to. She actually goes undercover as a cable person to find a safe, find out what kind of safe it is, and she actually goes on a date with Steve in order to she was supposed to actually stand him up. That way they can steal his gold and be out of there in no time at all. But they end up not being able to steal it that night, and she has to go on the date with Steve. And even though she's real shy around him all the time, but even though she knows who he is, and she really fits the Hestia archetype. She loves to be alone. Every part of the safe cracking in the movie that she does, she's always alone. She's in her own little world. She's really easy. She can really easily resist manipulation that Steve tries to do, put on her. Like, oh, you're not going to be able to do this. Don't even try. She resists that pretty well, and she likes to work carefully and not be rushed about anything. So everything she does is in a quiet room, and it's usually in solitude too. They have a magic flight, which would be the chase scene where the motorcycle guards are chasing after the minis. That takes up a large part of the movie, and towards the end, Charlie shows his kind of mentorish ways by almost sacrificing himself. He becomes a decoy. He turns another way while the other two cars get away, even though it could mean certain death for him. And in the end, they get away with the gold, and Steve is caught by the mafia, the Ukrainian mafia, because he kills one of the men who he actually was selling bricks to. They get to the train. They load all the cars on the train, and then the movie kind of stops. They have a little bit after it, which kind of shows Charlie and Stella get together. The master archetypes for the companions. Lyle kind of is the Joker because he stalls when people don't do exactly what he wants to, even though he means good. Steve really is just the enemy. There's no real, nemesis or Joker or Jester to qualify for that. He's just the all-out bad guy. For the last couple of sections, there really is no rescue. There's no rescue. There's no crossing the return threshold. Master of Two Worlds, familiarity to live, or freedom to live. It really ends after the chase scene ends, and you can assume that things go back to normal because that's what the entire movie's about. Is they're getting revenge and then they're done. It's like one last job, kind of like how the Italian job was. But you can safely assume that they go back to regular lives because they show Lyle ends up getting on Wired magazine like he wanted to. Lefty gets his house in the south of Spain, and Handsome Rob gets his Aston Martin that he wanted. You can assume that everybody splits their separate ways except for Stella and Charlie. Entering the belly of the whale, I would see the where she has to unlock the safe by hand. I would see that as entering the well because she's so used to the technology and the tools. She freaks out after starting to do it. She's like, I can't do it. But it's kind of her deepest fear not having the technology to help her, and it's something she really gets scared about. But she ends up getting through. There really is no magic elixir to fix the problem. She just kind of does it. So the only brother battle that could happen during the thing wouldn't be with Stella. It would actually be with Steve and Charlie and like the rest of the group because they had been so close and done so many jobs with him. And like he seemed like another part of the group until he betrayed them, and everybody took it really hard because it's someone they thought they could trust, but they couldn't at all.